Hi, it's Gav and Dad back reunited. It's been
Here I am.
2 months.
Yeah, has it been 2 months?
Last time I hadn't had the baby yet.
Really? Have you had the baby?
I believe I've had the baby.
Oh, you had oh yeah.
And that's why we went to a Stars and Strollers.
We did. The three of us went. I went.
Dad
Gabrielle went.
What'd you think?
And Rosie, my 7-week-old granddaughter, went. And it was great. There was lots of babies there. Although the guy at the end of the movie, the guy sitting in the row behind us said, "What's going on here? Is it some kind of baby convention?" He obviously didn't understand the nature of this showing.
Anyway, it all went well. What we saw was
Sherlock Holmes,
Game of Shadows.
The Game of Shadows, yeah, starring Jude Law and of course Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes.
And Jared Harris as
Professor Moriarty, who didn't actually appear in the first Sherlock Holmes film, I think.
He appeared in shadow.
Yeah, he was a shadowy figure.
Yeah.
What's it about? Oh, it's not really about very much. There's a sort of a Professor Moriarty, who of course is the implacable foe of Sherlock Holmes, is trying essentially to start a war in Europe, and that's because he's bought all the munitions factories and everything else.
I think that's a spoiler, but it doesn't really matter.
Is it really? Well, it's not much of a spoiler. The plot is sort of incidental to the highly stylized film. And the
stylings of Guy Ritchie. The
stylings of Guy Ritchie is very stylized, and the fight between the implacable hostility between Moriarty and Sherlock Holmes.
Intellectual and physical.
Intellectual and physical.
Battles. Yeah. Well, yeah,
I'm drinking
that pretty much sums it up. Obviously, what counts here is more, as you mentioned, the style. And for me, I really enjoyed the first Sherlock Holmes movie. For me, it's all Robert Downey Jr. I love Robert Downey Jr. I really like his take.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. I just
I think he's handsome.
I think he's definitely attractive, but that's not what it is.
It's more of his.
He's very playful in almost everything he does, and I really enjoyed that playfulness in Sherlock Holmes because he's such a cerebral character that I find almost every line delivery that he has just so enjoyable. Yeah, it's like a juicy morsel.
But something's lost, I think, because I mean the original Sherlock Holmes was, was somebody who, by sheer force of intellect and observation, power of observation,
but they highlight
crimes.
That very much.
There's not a whole lot of that in the film.
I love the way they highlight that, how he says his curse, that he sees
everything.
My
curse that I see everything.
And the way that Guy Ritchie shows how in his mind these things are being put together even ahead of time.
He was married to Madonna, wasn't he, Guy Ritchie?
Yeah, that's irrelevant.
Irrelevant but interesting.
And I like that the physicality that Robert Downey Jr. and Guy Ritchie bring to it as well. But that's a modernization. I mean, one can quibble with, is that true to the source material or whatnot?
The best part of this film, by far, was Professor Moriarty, played by
Jared Harris, as I said.
Brilliantly played by. He's a really good professor.
He really crackled when he was on the screen.
It's worth going to the film, in my opinion, just to see him play Moriarty.
I agree. I think he made it, and his rapport in the scenes that he shared with Robert Downey Jr. were very juicy. I really, really enjoyed it.
He's got this wonderful kind of restrained but sinister sort of sense about him.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily how he looks. It's the line delivery, it's the acting.
Yeah, he's just a very good actor.
Yeah, so that was really enjoyable. I agree, that was the best part. I enjoyed some of the action sequences, the one in the forest, the one on the train.
The one in the forest was there's a very good chase sequence in the forest towards the end. That's good.
Yeah.
But that's about the only part of the the action shooting.
I like the one on the train, but as you mentioned, there were some fight scenes that were kind of
pointless
and a little bit dull. I have to say, you found this a little bit boring, and I have to admit,
actually fell asleep at one point.
He did.
But Rosie,
there were sleeping babies and sleeping dad.
The best critic of all was Rosie, Gabrielle's new daughter, who slept through the entire
I don't think that's a critique.
Who slept through the entire movie. Now that is a review.
That
is a review.
She
Occasionally she stirred, but basically asleep through the whole thing.
The story was a little bit, I think, thin. I think there could have been more punch to it. So the other elements are what held it together for me.
Very thin. I mean, this is probably an unfair comparison, but 2 days ago I saw Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Mm-hmm. Where the plot is, in a sense, the opposite of the plot in this one. Very complex,
very dense
plot. You have to pay, a lot of attention.
But not always good.
No, in some ways, it was too dense and too intricate. So
we're too dense.
I like a move plot-wise that's somewhere between this one, Sherlock Holmes, and more dense than Sherlock Holmes, but less dense than Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
But the bottom line, I think you agree, is that it was entertaining. I think there were enough elements there. Well, okay, rental or not, it was a satisfying afternoon at the movie with surrounded by babies. You know, you don't want to have to concentrate too much. So, dads?
3.5.
Same with me, 3.5 Gabs. So that's Sherlock Holmes 2, Game of Shadows. I'm glad that we're back. We're catching some movies at the end of the year. Please stay tuned. We'll try to squeeze in some more.
Nice to see you again.
Elementary.